What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. It is Friday. I have made it through another week, and that means I am bringing my favorite carries from the week to you. I am still really enjoying being able to just pick at random during the week as opposed to trying to schedule and stick to the schedule. It's a lot of fun, gives me the freedom to just kind of pick up whatever I'm feeling that morning and then try to coordinate it from there. Just a reminder, if you do enjoy the content and this video, leaving a like helps me. Commenting down below on what you carried, what you like from what I carried. If you do like the video, think about subscribing. And if you turn on that notification bell, make sure it's selected to all so you get alerts when all videos drop. That way you can choose which ones you want to watch depending on what type of content you're looking for. Also on the over on Instagram, I do actually post like the full pocket dump so you can see kind of everything that I may pair up with a particular carry from that day. So all of that should have flashed up on the screen for you. Let's get into the fun stuff and what you're here for. On Monday, I went with a My Carter Monday and I carried my new Kizer Sheepdog. This is the Blade HQ exclusive. It has the 10V with the newer American style, I believe it was, micarta handles. And I did force patina. So as you can kind of see as the light hits it, I did a little bit of mineral oil and then I dried it really well and then I let it sit and dry. So there is no moisture and it still has that fantastic texturing and gripping to it that makes it a joy to handle. I really like that a lot. I also, if you notice, did a stone wash for like 30 minutes on the pocket clip and on the knife. And where you can really see that is in the lines, where it wore down on the lines. And I think I got some fingerprints on here, which is the disadvantage to a coated and a satin blade all at the same time is grimy, oily fingers are just going to show up on the blade. But as you can see, maybe if I can get the lighting just right, you can see where the stone kind of pelted away at the actual blade itself. But again, you can really tell that in the creases where the stones just hit more so than they do on the flat surface. I think it was my CJRB to kind of show you the difference to where you can see it looks a little bit faded without being too overdone. And unfortunately, I actually use that CJRB a lot, so that actually might be just as worn. I am really enjoying this. It has fantastic ergos. 10V is really good, but I do probably need to take it back over to the work sharp. I did take it to put an edge on it, and I think it's okay. Feels pretty, feels pretty slicey, but I'm kind of wondering if I can get it just a little bit smoother. It is a tough steel to sharpen, but from what I understand, it holds an edge a really long time. I love the little spot that they added right here for choking up. It really does help on the push cuts. I took it to a couple pieces of cardboard just to get a feel for the 10V because it's new to me. And I really do like the way it has a really good bite. Just gets right into the cardboard. It doesn't get caked up underneath the edge. It just cuts straight through. Part of that I think is the steel. Part of that I think is the geometry and the edge that I put on it. It's a really thin knife for being such a wide blade. Just really like this. I really love the way that looks. I think it's such a cool knife, and I really love the force patina. It almost made this dark green micarta look black, and I think through the camera it probably does look black. So that came out really nice. I will be posting the video where I did that soon because I think I am actually showing the carry before I show the process that I went through with that. So if you're interested, again, make sure that notification bell is to all and you'll get the alert when that drops showing where I actually did that. I think I can probably get it just a little closer there. All right, let's move on. On Tuesday, and I know I posted this recently and I did it for a specific reason. I knew I carried this knife this week, and I know I was extremely harsh in the review, I think, of the knife. So I kind of wanted to take the opportunity to show that I've been carrying it and show that I've probably softened a little bit off of my initial impressions. So not to say, well, what I carried for Titanium Tuesday was my Wee Seer. Now, if you know, this is a limited run knife. So first in the video, I kept saying a base Seer. I meant to say a base Wee. I was referencing the Beacon and the Subjugator, as the alternative knife that you could go for like $15 less. And they have like different variants. They have the base titanium, coated blades, uncoated blades. They have coated and washed titaniums. What I was saying is that I think I like those knives better because they are a little bit more of the normal pocket knife sized shape. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So for example, I think in the video I actually used this example, and that was the MKM Gosia. So I know they have similar profiles, but as far as like the blade's thickness and shape, I felt like this was more long and slender, whereas you could get a subjugator or a Beacon, which was more like this style, shaped blade and handles, so giving you a little bit more to grip onto, and a taller, flatter grind blade, which is going to cut through stuff a little bit better because it's going to take the division of the material and it's going to spread it out more. So because instead of having a short distance and trying to cut through that and it, tapering faster on the more shallow blade, the taller blade, because it has more surface, is going to take that division and spread it out. So it's going to feel a little bit smoother in my experience going through materials than this. This is going to be really good for like food prep, getting into boxes. And I know I mentioned like the steakhouse, and I don't know if anybody's ever done that just for shits and giggles, but it's pretty funny just to break out your own tool to cut, because the crap they give you at the table is really dull and has been washed 100 times and never been sharpened. As far as the food prep, I just keep it away from, usually if I'm doing food prep, I'm not even coming past the halfway mark on the knife. I'm kind of up here, and it's really easy to wipe off and then take home and wash. Anyway, getting back to the knife, I was super harsh. They're only charging like $15 more than some of their knives. Now, I think the Subjugator is actually more expensive, but I think it's a bigger knife with more blade steel and more handle, so you have more titanium there. It is a limited run, and again, I think this is more gentlemanly or more for like more formal environment. You're going somewhere that might be a little bit more upscale, where you don't want to break out your tactical pocket knife to get into stuff. So I think these really do have their place, and really I just like the aesthetics. I liked the black and blue. Blue is one of my favorite colors. I love the bronze ano work that they did here, ignoring the pocket clip. The bronze ano looks really good. The stone wash looks really good. The blade itself is really nice, thin and slicey, so it feels really good, and it has a nice I think this is machine finish. Like, I think it's grinded down normal, and then I think they take it across the machine and give it that side to side grind for the finish. So again, aesthetics. This is all about aesthetics. But once this knife sells out, I don't think this model is going to be around anymore. So if that's kind of appealing to you, you might want to consider that. And because I don't want to look at the pocket clip, I'm going to lay it that way. I hate that pocket clip, man. They really just need to change it. This is the style they need to change to. So maybe in 2022, we'll see them consider changing that pocket clip. It's very comfortable. It has good ergonomics. They're not great. They're not the best. And it does cut really well. And Civivi does a really good job with their edges. I mean, they do a really good job. I have to give them credit for that. On Wednesday, I had to get this back in the pocket because I was so excited to get it back, and I really, really am surprised how much I enjoy the minor little tweak update they did to this model. This is the Protech Malibu. This one here is the 20CV variant with the reverse Tonto. It has a stone wash finish. It is a button lock on bearings, so super fidgetable, very good action, very consistent. If I'm not slamming, I keep forgetting I don't need to slam this one. This one will fall. This does have the factory bearings. I see no need to waste the time or energy to throw any skiffs in here. I just think the action right out the box, fantastic. This thing is so well tuned, by Protech. Centering is awesome. This texturing is really nice without being overdone. They even have a landing zone, and you do hear the grip when it comes in out of the pocket, but as far as I can tell, there's not really much resistance happening there. They did a fantastic job with the spacing. It looks shallow, but it goes in and out of the pocket one-handed really easily. So they got it at the right height, and it goes all the way to the end without any fighting and not feeling tight. Really do like this knife. Again, I did enjoy it. I think it's a really nice, friendly EDC size, something, a little bit smaller in the pocket, lightweight to carry, but that is really quite capable. It doesn't have a super thin geometry, but it has a really nice edge, and it does go through the material really well. Like, I'm really surprised considering how shallow the flat grind on this is and how thick and robust that blade is for an EDC size knife. And when I say that for comparison, I say it's really thick, but it's not quite twice as thick as this, which is really thin and slicey. Like, that is a super thin slicey knife. I really do like the Protechs. I know some people are going to say they're just really overpriced. I think some of that is inflation. I think, some of that probably is they brought it out not sure how it was going to be received, because if you looked at their other button lock that was that Ferrum Forge design, it wasn't really a hot seller. And I think they probably brought it out at a lower price, willing to take less of a profit back on that. Not sure if they were going to continue with it, but I think now prices are up. I'm hoping that equates to more jobs for folks over there at Protech, that they get more workforce in, and that means they're able to churn out more product. I don't mind paying a little bit more, because initially I thought, like, getting it at $200, $210, I thought that was a great deal. I think when you get to $240, I think they need to stop there. Obviously, inflation is going to dictate that a little bit, but I think once you get to $240 for an American-made knife with American steel, this level of build quality, this is better than probably almost anything in my case right now. This is better than a lot of stuff that I've handled as far as the build quality, the consistency in which the experience that I've had, and I've had all of 2 models, so keep that in mind, but the consistency and the experience that I've had in handling Protechs, it's just another level. Like, it just feels nicer than this Wii. Obviously, it feels much nicer than that Kizer, and that Kizer is a good feeling budget knife. Like, I'm not trying to knock these other products because they're good. I'm just trying to express how much I think Protech is on another level. That was what was in my pocket on Wednesday, and that's just some of the stuff that I like about it, the things that I've enjoyed about it. And you know what? Just to kind of be fun, I'm just going to go every other and try to be fancy. All right. Thursday, I wanted to get another knife back in my pocket that I'm still actually trying to get a really good feel for. I go back and forth some days, and I'm going to explain why. So on Thursday, I had the Kansept Pretatout. This is a titanium frame lock with an option for a 9CR Damascus, which I think looks good, and I went for the aesthetics here because I just like the look of it. Sometimes I want performance, sometimes I just want something that I think looks good, and I feel like because I have a little bit of both in my inventory, that gives me the flexibility to kind of go either way. But in my opinion, if you like this knife, if you like the blade shape, you like the materials, I would personally go for the S35VN if I were buying this knife and not going for the aesthetics, because the S35VN is done really well by Kansept. S35VN is still a very good performing steel, very well rounded. I like it, and I think Kansept has done a good job on the knives that I've experienced that have it, which is the Noble knives and the Convict. The Goblin. I'm sorry, the Noble Knives Goblin. I just blanked on his model there, or didn't say it. I really like this knife. I love the ergos because this piece here, I don't normally like a knife that has this much curvature, but I think they somehow did a good job making it look good because they milled the lines out here to help with it being not so flat and boring throughout the handle. The S35VN just is all black in the pivot and has an all black pocket clip, but in all honesty, if you really aren't too much into the looks, that really doesn't bother me. I think it looks really good. You can get it all blacked out. You can get blacked out stonewashed titanium with the black coated blade, or you can get it all raw materials. So what I was saying, I really like the ergos because if you're choking back, if you're trying to do a task that requires you to come back, it's just so comfortable. Like, it is so comfortable. And the milling, let me finish with the ergos. I want to get ahead of myself. I apologize. But if you need to move up and you need to do some detail work and you need to come out here and just do something where you want to be really precise, you don't want to go too far, or you're trying to keep the line as straight up as possible, it feels, again, really comfortable to choke up. And even if you bring in the thumb back for some push cuts, it feels so locked in hand, man. It just feels so good. The ergos, just for me, override the curvature of the handle, which again, I don't think looks that bad. I think they did a good job milling out here and keeping it looking nice. If I could ask for something to be done different, I would prefer to, again, and I'm going to say this on all frame locks, I think, going forward, because I've been spoiled by it, I'd rather just have the inset liner lock. I'd rather not have to deal with the frame lock, where my finger is going to be, being able to switch hands and use it, because yes, you can get it out with the thumbs, but if you want to go to reverse flick it, I got nowhere to go, and you see my thumb naturally wants to be on the lock bar. And I think most people left-handed or ambidextrous are going to say the same thing. But anyway, fantastic ergos. For an over 8-inch knife, this thing is super lightweight in pocket. Again, they did the lines here for texture, for grip, and they work. They really do work, especially when you're trying to fidget with the knife. When you go to hold the handle, my fingers are going across all the lines. So I really do like that a lot. So I'm about to get into this here on that action as you see what I'm having to do here. I wasn't going to pick this knife up for a while because of this, but let me finish. Lockup is really good. Access to the lock bar really good, and that's the same for these have good access to the lock bar. Actually, I would probably say the Pretatout is great because it's really easy and comfortable to get to and actuate. Very fidgetable. You got the fuller for the reverse flick, you got the thumb studs for the thumb flick, flipper tab if you want to flip it, and it's just, again, it's a really well built, very high quality knife. Here's my other complaint besides the lock bar. So if you can see here, right now it's centered up. This last night was my fourth time. Wait, Thursday night was my. Oh yeah, that was last night. Oh my God, sorry guys. My fourth time trying to figure out where the pivot needs to stop with Loctite. The bearings are riding directly on the titanium. This is, unless the Convict is like this, I think this is the only knife I have where the bearings are riding directly on the titanium. They came out pre-milled, and the way that they're milled is so that the bearings can sit on the milled piece without really touching the titanium. And then when you get to the washer, because it's a little bit flatter, I think the washer itself, the nylon washer, is sitting on the outside on the titanium, and then that leaves them free spinning, the bearings free spinning on the outside, but on the inside they're actually making contact with the blade. So I've struggled with this. I put some Loctite on, I left it for a couple days, I go to flip it, it vibrates loose. And I mean, I'm putting a good amount of Loctite on it. I don't know if I did clean it up when I was done, but you might be able to see a little bit in between the pivot collar and the pivot itself. So the titanium is really smooth. I think that if they would have just orange peeled it and made this flat, it's almost like a shield in the fact that it's kind of hollow underneath and it ramps up. I think that if they would have, and the Tucson did this with their, and you almost can't tell that it's a pivot collar, but that is a pivot collar, and it is a thick pivot collar that lays flush against the titanium, but this also has the micro milling, which I think, and the carbon fiber probably too, help prevent that pivot collar from having the bolt too far removed and being able to spin freely. So I think the vibration's been kicking it loose. So I am flipping it a little bit here on the video, but because I want this to remain centered, which it does, it's always, even if I go and over tighten it, it favors the show side. But right now, my concern is trying to make sure that it stays locked down. So if I can get this to stay locked down with having it almost so tight that there's no action, like this is really, really tight, but not so tight that I can feel the bearings. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to try here, because my thought is maybe it'll break in and get to a point where it'll smooth out without coming uncentered. If I can get it locked up, the next thing that I'll do is I'll try to figure out which one of these frame bolts is a little cantered or wasn't drilled out smoothly or has something that's causing it to not line up, because what it really needs to do is this scale needs to shift up and this down, which to me lets me know that one of these holes are not lined up perfectly on the handle. It's not in the pivot, it's definitely in the handle, and I think that little bit of shift will help get it back center. And then I'll be able to go back and lock it down knowing that I was able to do that already. Because if I can't get it, I don't want to mess with the knife too much before I try to send it to Kansept to see if they can correct it. Because I think I just happened to probably get one. It happens with production knives where it was a little bit off. Anyway, that's a lot of information about that knife, but I wanted to do a little bit of follow-up on that one because I did sing its praise, because I do love the weight, the shape, the ergos, the fidget factor. Really nice. I like that one a lot. All right, let's get into Friday. Today, I am carrying one of my favorite modded knives. I have really loved the way this has turned out, and I am dual carrying today, but I'm going to start with the Spyderco Smock. Couldn't wait to get it out. I was like about to just blurt it out. I just love the way this came out. So if you've watched my channel for a while, you know this is the Blade HQ exclusive M4 blade steel that's coated. It had the mint scales on there, and when I got it, I really didn't want to mess with it, and I started to get tempted. And then I picked up a couple scales from Spencer over on Instagram, as he goes as carbonized out there. And I really got to thinking. I was like, man, I saw this jungle wear on a different knife, and I was like, I think that would look sick on the Smock. And I think it would look even sicker without the speed holes, just having all that fat carbon goodness just reflecting off the light. I thought it just looked so good. And then I was like, man, let's just get rid of the reversible pocket clip. I think it's only on this side because the button up here I think causes an issue, but I think it looks so good. And then I took that lanyard out. Boy, this thing looks sick to me. Some of y'all might not agree. I know there's a lot of people that are purists out there and they just don't feel like you should mess with anything from the factory. I get that, but that's not me. I like a modded knife. I really appreciate and enjoy this one. I do have skiffs in here. It came with stainless steel bearings. I wanted the ceramic. Made me feel a little bit better about the rust and toughness of the ceramic. Just really love this knife. I think it looks so good. I picked Casey over there at Lynch Northwest. I didn't tell him what I needed it for, because this is like their standard, I think, Spyderco deep carry pocket clip. And I ordered the green, and I kind of wonder sometimes, like when you see something like a green pocket clip getting ordered, what the heck is that going to be put on? When he saw it, man, he even reposted on his page. He liked the way that it looks so much. I think the jungle wear, the coated blade, and this is a really well coated blade. This blade cleans up so well. I don't abuse this one. I do use it the days that I carry it for like all the tasks, box openings. If I have a small knife box that I need to break down, if my inventory is too, I'll use this knife. And Spyderco does such a sick edge on their knife. It is so good. And this one has a hollow grind too. This thing is slicey, and the M4 has such toothiness. It just bites into whatever it is that you're cutting into. It's just crazy good. Ooh, I didn't mean to bump that. And I haven't sharpened or stropped that in a while. Man, that's just sick. A lot of fidget factor too. You got the Spidey hole for deployment. It has sharpness to it, so it catches the meat of the finger really well without having to dig in. I keep hitting the side of the tripod today. I really just need to, I bought the arm bar. I just need to figure out how to install it because my table's got a little weirdness going to it. But anyway, got the flipper tab, thumb hole for Spidey flicking. Just, this thing is great. I really love the way that this looks. I think it came out really nice. Trying to learn how to do that reverse flick because I learned it with the front flippers. So now I want to learn how to do it with these top flippers. So I've been practicing. You hear a little bit of that rattle. I'll bring it close. So in here, where am I at? I think it's, yeah, it's this side. So in here, and it's going to be really hard to show you, they're integrated into the scale. There's a little pin. Well, I'm on the wrong side too. There's a little pin down here, and it just kind of acts like the stop pin, but there's also an actual, I'm not gonna be able to show it to you. Gosh, I can't see it. It acts as though it's the stop pin because this standoff actually just keeps the compression lock pushed down on the spine of the knife there. So the internal stop pin here is floating freely. So what I'm probably gonna do this weekend, if I have time, I'm gonna take some of that lithium grease that I used on a different knife and just kind of stuff it in on the scale side. I don't know if that's going to completely stop it, but I'm only going to use a little bit of it. It's the same lithium. I don't know that it's lithium. I actually think it's something else, but it's similar to what Chris Reeves sends for his knife for the washers. So I'm hoping that'll get rid of that sound. That is, oh, and that worked out well. Totally unintentional. I wish I was cool enough to say that I meant for it to land so that the Lynch Northwest pocket clip stood up on that side, but that was just totally spur of the moment as I was doing this. The fifth pocket carry, if you made it this far and you're still watching, I appreciate it. Fifth pocket carry is, and I haven't even debuted the unboxing of this yet, so this is totally a sneak peek. It's going to be the FINCH Lucky number 13 swayback knife. I really wanted to try this one out. I've never handled a swayback before, and I'm not going to give anything away. That's just what is in the pocket. This is a cool little dude here. He's quite robust, so even though he's small, it actually fills up the hand pretty good. You get a nice 3-finger grip. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I can only get the other finger on there when I move up to kind of do like if I was going to get into a box, I can start to touch the back. Anyway, not going to give too much of that one away. That is in the fifth pocket today because Fridays I can wear jeans, so that's why you've been seeing dual carries here lately. I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you tuning in and watching. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you leaving the like and subscribing and turning on that notification bell. So thank you for that if you decide to do it. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, an awesome week, and until next time, peace.